Welcome to Expat Reality. Today, I will share with you my real story about how I moved to the Philippines, thinking I could live on $850 a month. But what I found instead was something I never saw coming. I made a huge mistake that everyone needs to be aware of. Most people think the mistake happens in one moment, like a bad decision you can point to and say, that was it. But that is not how it works. It happens slowly, in small choices that feel right at the time, until one day you realize you are in a situation you never planned for. I was 63 when I left the United States. I had spent most of my life in Phoenix, Arizona, working maintenance for apartment complexes. It was steady work, nothing exciting, but it paid the bills and gave me a routine. For years, I woke up early, fixed what needed fixing, and went home tired but stable. Then, after those years of hard work, I finally retired, and everything that felt solid started to shift. My pension came in at around $850 a month. With a bit of Social Security, I could cover the basics, but there was no room for anything extra. Rent in the US kept rising, groceries kept getting more expensive, and every month felt tighter than the last. What made it worse was not just the money, but the quiet. My days became empty. No work, no structure, no one expecting anything from me. I would sit for hours, sometimes without speaking a word to anyone. That was when I started watching YouTube videos online. At first, it was just something to pass the time. Then I began noticing a pattern. People talking about life in the Philippines, showing small apartments, cheap meals, and relaxed days. They kept repeating the same idea, that you could live there comfortably for under $1,000 a month. I watched enough of those videos that they stopped sounding like opinions and started sounding like facts. So I did the math. If I kept my spending around $850, I could make it work. I did not need luxury. I just wanted a simpler life, somewhere warmer, somewhere quieter, somewhere I could feel like I was not just getting by. That thought stayed with me until it turned into a plan. And before I knew it, the plan turned into a decision. After that, I did a lot of research about traveling to the Philippines and finally convinced myself that it was the perfect place for me. I booked my flight and my hotel stay for the first few days. I picked Cebu City as my destination because that's where most of the expat YouTubers I watched used to live. When I arrived in Cebu, everything felt like confirmation that I had made the right choice. The air was warm, the streets were alive, and people seemed more open, more willing to talk. It felt different in a way that was hard to explain, but easy to feel. After a few days, I finally found a small studio apartment for about $350 a month. It was very simple, not in the best neighborhood, but it had everything I needed. For the first few weeks, life felt easy. Food was cheap, transportation was simple, and I did not feel the same pressure I felt back home. I remember sitting in my apartment one evening, looking around, thinking I had finally figured things out. But the change did not come all at once. It started quietly. I began eating out more often because it was convenient. Then I made a few upgrades in my apartment, better internet, a stronger fan, and eventually air conditioning, because the heat made it hard to sleep. Each decision made sense at the time. None of them felt like a mistake. But over time, those small decisions started to add up. Then there were the costs I had not fully thought about. Electricity was higher than I expected, especially once I started using air conditioning. Visa extensions came with fees I did not fully understand before arriving. Daily transport, small repairs, and little things that happen in everyday life began to push my budget closer to its limit. At the same time, something else returned, something I thought I had left behind. The loneliness. During the day, I could distract myself, walk around, explore, watch people. But at night, it came back. The same quiet feeling I had in Arizona. The same sense that something was missing. That was when I met Maria. I met her at a small place where I used to eat. She noticed me sitting alone and asked if she could join me. She was 36 years old, Filipina single mom. She had a calm way of speaking and a kind presence that made it easy to talk to her. She asked about my life, and more importantly, she listened. We started seeing each other more often. We would walk around the city, sit in cafes, and talk for hours. Then one day, she introduced me to her 18-year-old daughter, Ashley. She was quiet and polite, staying close to her mother. That moment made everything feel more real, like I was not just passing time, but becoming part of something. As the weeks went by, Maria began spending more time at my apartment. At first, she would just visit. Then she started staying later, and eventually she would stay overnight. Before long, it felt normal for her to be there. I was no longer waking up alone, and that feeling was stronger than I expected. The problem came after she became very comfortable with and knew everything about me. That's when she starts asking me for money to solve her problems and pay some of her bills. The first time money came into the picture, it did not feel like a warning. She mentioned that her daughter needed help with school. She did not ask directly, but I offered. It was not a large amount, and it felt like the right thing to do. Then a few weeks later, another problem came up. A family issue. Then something else. Each time, there was a reason, and each time, I helped. It felt natural, like something you do when you care about someone. But slowly, something began to change. The requests became more frequent. The reasons became more urgent. And without realizing it at first, I noticed a pattern. The requests often came around the same time my $850 arrived. At the same time, my own spending continued to grow. With Maria around, I ate out more, spent more on daily things, and stopped paying close attention to where my money was going. I told myself I would adjust later, but later never came. Part of me started to feel uneasy. I noticed things that did not quite make sense. But I pushed those thoughts away because I did not want to lose what I had found. After being alone for so long, that connection felt too important to question. Then one day, everything became clear. While she was taking shower, I saw Facebook messages on her phone. Different names, different conversations, but the same tone, the same stories, the same requests for help. Other men, foreigners, just like me. In that moment, everything connected. The timing, the patterns, the feeling I had been ignoring. This was not random. It was organized. That's when I kicked her out and ended our relationship. But when I finally sat down and added everything up, the number did not feel real. More than $4,000 had slowly disappeared from my savings. Not in one big moment, but in small pieces over time. And then came the hardest realization. I could not leave. I did not have enough money to go back to the United States. Even if I did, nothing was waiting for me there. So I stayed, not because I wanted to, but because I had no other option. Now, I live more carefully. I track my spending, keep my distance, and think more before I act. But the lesson stays with me. $850 a month can work, but only under perfect conditions. Only if nothing goes wrong. Only if you stay disciplined, and most importantly, only if you stay alone and cut useless spending. Because the moment you start looking for a partner or connection, everything changes. And that is the part nobody explains. You do not lose your money all at once. You lose it slowly, one decision at a time, until one day you realize you were never in control at all. I hope you guys learn from my mistake. I'm not saying you can't live on $850 a month in the Philippines. It depends on your lifestyle, and if you know how to live cheaply, it gives you more chance to live on that budget comfortably in a small city in the Philippines. If this story helped you see things more clearly, take a second to like the video. It helps more people find this content. And if you want more real stories like this, subscribe to the channel.